Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, our west coast became a potential combat zone. Living in that zone were more than 100,000 persons of Japanese ancestry. Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move. This picture tells how the mass migration was accomplished.
After the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, President Franklin Roosevelt ordered all Japanese Americans living on the western seaboard to be sent to facilities further inland. Nearly 14,000 were forced from their homes and taken to Heart Mountain Relocation Center, located between Cody and Powell, Wyoming. Linda Takahashi Rodriguez was brought to Heart Mountain as an infant, with some of her earliest childhood memories being here.
My mother said, "Don't touch the fence, don't go near the fence, just stay away." And that was something that was really drilled in. We didn't really ask, as a child, you didn't say, "Well, why can't I touch the fence?" But we just understood, don't go near.
Both sides of Shirley Ann Higuchi's family were brought to Heart Mountain too, and they lost everything in the process.
In the case of my father's family, they lost 14.25 acres of land, which is now known as Silicon Valley today. So when they lost that and they got in here, I think they dreamt of somehow getting land back, going back to San Jose, California, and they did do that eventually, but there was a huge cost in terms of what happened to them after the incarceration and during the incarceration.
The first trainload of incarcerees arrived to Heart Mountain Relocation Center on August 12, 1942. What they found was a barren, desolate landscape. At its peak, the camp held nearly 11,000 people of Japanese descent, a majority of whom were American citizens. Life there was bleak. Not only were the barracks not equipped for harsh Wyoming winters, they were overcrowded, and resources as a whole were extremely limited. When Takahashi Rodriguez returns to Heart Mountain, she is reminded of the struggles her family endured. She describes it as a kind of awakening.
It brings back memories of how hard life was, especially for my mother with two little kids, 2 and 3 years old, no restroom, bathroom in the house, and no heat, basically, and children getting sick all the time. And it reinforces the fact that we live so much better a life.
Despite the tidal wave of emotions, she and other former incarcerees have made it an annual tradition to revisit the place they were once forced to call home. Every summer, former incarcerees and their families gather on a pilgrimage to Heart Mountain. It's a difficult trip, both emotionally and physically. Yet, it's one that Linda Takahashi Rodriguez has chosen to take again and again.
Every year that we come back, there's something new that we learn. And it's uplifting to my heart to come back.
Though uplifting, she says she also feels a sense of sadness when she returns. It's a mix of emotions that Shirley Ann Higuchi says is common among former incarcerees.
It's a very emotional process. There's a lot of healing that goes on. I've interviewed many internees that really avoided this place because of what this country had did to them during World War II. So emotions, crying, emoting, and I think at the end a sense of peace.
There are small glimpses of joy to be found throughout the memories of Heart Mountain. Babies being born, families playing in the snow, dances, football games. It was determination that allowed incarcerees to adapt to the harsh climate and become a self-sufficient community. These stories are testaments to the indomitable human spirit.
We have to give the Japanese American incarcerees a lot of credit for trying to make this place as livable as possible. It's that gaman, which is a Japanese term, spirit, that kept them going.
The Heart Mountain Relocation Center was active between August 1942 and November 1945. Surviving incarcerees are well into their 80s and 90s, and 45 were able to attend this year's pilgrimage. They and their descendants are working to ensure that this history is preserved and able to be shared with generations to come. Following the end of World War II, the Western Defense Command issued a proclamation freeing Japanese incarcerees from government-operated relocation centers in December 1944. Almost a year later, on November 10, 1945, the last train of incarcerees left Heart Mountain. Understanding and healing from the trauma here was difficult for many who were held within its barbed wire fences. Shirley Ann Higuchi's mother hardly spoke of her experience at Heart Mountain, yet it was something that continued to weigh heavily on her mind.
The issue with that generation is that they never felt comfortable talking about it. And what I found out later, after my mother died, that she was secretly sending money here to purchase the land in order to build our museum.
Higuchi says her mother invested in this project because she didn't want the stories here to be forgotten. For some, this is a part of our nation's history that may have been skimmed over in history class.
We have run into many individuals who are introduced to things like incarceration camps and that history and say, I never knew that, or I was never taught that in school. So we want individuals to walk away with an understanding of that history, with an interest in learning more about it, but also a real interest in making sure that that history is shared.
The site is now home to the Heart Mountain Interpretive Center, where they work to preserve, collect, and share the stories of Heart Mountain and other former incarceration camps.
We want everyone to understand what happened to Japanese Americans during World War II here. And you could do it by coming over and experiencing it firsthand.